Also, we're doing no hat today. I haven't gotten a haircut in like 7 weeks, so be kind. It kind of looks like I have a mop on the top of my head. But anyway, welcome back everybody. My name is Tucker, and in today's video, we're going to be talking, of course, about the 2020 NBA Draft Lottery. We're going to be talking about some of the teams that moved up and fell back the furthest, and all the different storylines and how this is going to affect the 2020 NBA Draft. But really quickly, before we get started, if you're enjoying content like this, and subscribing is a great way to keep up with the channel, and leaving a like rating is also a great way to support it, and let me know that you're enjoying the content. But with that said, let's go and get started. Also, a quick plug to the gaming channel. This is the most consistently that I've ever uploaded content over there. I've got a couple of videos that have over a couple thousand views on Warzone. Go check it out if you haven't already. I'm really proud of the content over there. Okay, let's start off, of course, with the team that ended up with the first overall pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that I made a video about a month ago or so, I think at this point. And I said that their future is not as bright as you would think because they've got D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns, but they didn't have a ton of other complementary options, and they are going to be giving their first round pick next year to the Golden State Warriors, top 3 protected. And then they went ahead and got the first overall pick this year. Now, this obviously changes a couple of things for them, but when I was talking about their future in that video, I was considering the fact that they had top 3 lottery odds at the time anyway, and the fact that this is just not going to be a great draft. But let's go ahead and talk about the Timberwolves and how this changes things for them moving forward. If it seems to me like the way this draft is going to go at the top, and we're going to talk about some of these other teams in a little bit, but it's going to go either LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards at 1, James Wiseman at 2, and then one of the other 2 guards, whether it's Edwards or Ball, at number 3 going to Charlotte, whichever one doesn't get taken number 1 overall. And it seems like the pick here would be Anthony Edwards if they really like him, because they already have kind of a ball dominant backcourt guard in D'Angelo Russell. So having him and LaMelo Ball together doesn't make a ton of sense. Plus, the defense would be atrocious in Minnesota, worse than it already is, if that was their starting backcourt. Then you've got Karl Anthony Towns playing at the 5. But regardless, it's obviously a great thing for Minnesota's future moving forward that they have the first overall pick, even if for some reason they wanted to trade it. But it's got to make sure that they make the correct selection and that they develop the player properly. Obviously, when we're going back to the whole Andrew Wiggins thing, they brought him in and he just never developed into what you would hope for out of a number 1 overall pick. And this is definitely a weaker draft class than the one that Wiggins came out of. So like I said, it seems like it's either going to be Ball or Edwards. If they really like Anthony Edwards, he is probably the pick, just because I feel like he is a better fit alongside someone like D'Angelo Russell. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. This definitely helps their future, but I wouldn't say that it's anything super game changing, because again, when I was talking about them in that previous video, they had top 3 lottery odds at the time anyway. Next, let's talk about the team that moved up the most in the lottery, and it's the Charlotte Hornets. And this, I think, is something that a lot of people, for whatever reason, are just not talking about how much the Hornets moved up, because they want to talk about the Timberwolves, they want to talk about the Bulls, and they want to talk about the Knicks. But the Hornets have been constantly, ever since the Anthony Davis lottery, where they got 2nd overall, they got Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and he didn't develop, they've been picking between like 4 and 8 or 12 forever. And this is huge for them. And I think the one time that they had the 4th pick, I think they picked Cody Zeller. So like, to have a top 3 pick, a chance at a legitimate franchise cornerstone type player, depending on who they pick and how this draft works out, is huge for them. Like I said, it seems like the Warriors are going to pick Wiseman at 2 just based off the roster that they have. And then you're going to get one of the other 2 guards that is not picked at number 1 overall if you're Charlotte. If for some reason Golden State goes with one of the guards, then you can get James Wiseman. He can be your 5 moving forward, and you can kind of go from there. I really don't think that Charlotte is in any position to be picky here. I know that they have Devontae Graham. I know that they have Terry Rozier, but if they get an opportunity to get either LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards or whichever young guard they like, I think they should definitely take the opportunity to do that. And again, I think those are the top 3 prospects. But this is huge for them moving forward, for their future. Helps their rebuild a ton to go up from 8 to 3, even if it's just the asset, the pick in a trade or the player in a trade. This is something that Charlotte hasn't had, like I said, in a very long time. They picked Zeller at 4th, and then they picked Michael Kidd-Gilchrist when they lost the Anthony Davis lottery, when they got number 2 overall. Other than that, they haven't had a ton of top 3, top 4 picks, and this is really exciting for Charlotte. Okay, now let's go the other way and talk about some of the teams that fell backwards. And the first is the Cleveland Cavaliers, who I believe had the 2nd best overall odds of any of the teams, and ended up at number 5 overall. And honestly, I don't think anybody's feeling bad for the Cavs, because they won like 3 lotteries in 5 years or something. They got Anthony Bennett, Kyrie Irving, and then Andrew Wiggins, who they traded away. So I don't think anybody's feeling bad for Cleveland at all. But this definitely is a bit of a blow to their chances moving forward, because someone like James Wiseman would have been a nice fit for them. Even though they have a couple of bigs on their roster, they don't have like a really nice young big moving forward to kind of grow alongside Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, excuse me. They need help on the wings as well. Even if they think that the Sexton-Garland combination is going to be really good for them for a long time, I have question marks about Garland, but Sexton looked good. Even if they think that that's their backcourt, they need plenty of help on the wings and in the front court as well. So it would have been nice for them to have that second overall pick. And then two other teams that ended up moving back simply just because the Bulls and the Hornets jumped up were the Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks. And these two franchises, the Pistons needed this more than the Knicks did just based off talent on the roster. The Knicks have RJ Barrett, they have Mitchell Robinson, but the Knicks just, they can't get any kind of lottery luck at all. This is 2 years in a row now where they've had pretty good odds. They didn't have great odds this year, but they had good odds last year to have, you know, a high pick. And last year they ended up falling down to 3. They had 2 teams that were way back in the odds for them jump ahead of them. And then this year, 2 other teams that were behind them in the odds jumped ahead of them and bumped them down all the way, I believe, to number 8, again, at the expense of Charlotte and Chicago moving up into the top 4. And then Detroit, like I said, they really needed a talent infusion on this roster, and it's going to be tough to find in this draft. I think there's good depth, there's good complementary options, but Detroit really needs kind of that star player since Blake Griffin is not going to be that guy anymore, and to not have a top pick in this draft is going to make that much more difficult. And then last up, of course, we got to talk about the Chicago Bulls, and I think they're really in the kind of pivot point in this draft. I've already talked about what I feel like is going to happen in the top 3, and that can obviously change, but what the Bulls do at 4, I think, is going to be the most interesting point in the draft. We always have that spot where last year it was at number 4 as well, when we knew it was going to be Zion, Ja, and then probably RJ Barrett at 3. And then at 4, we didn't know what was going to happen. It ended up being DeAndre Hunter. And I think that's kind of where we're at this year for Chicago as well. They could go in the backcourt and they could try and get a nice backcourt player for Kobe White and kind of not necessarily move on from Zach LaVine, but maybe go to like a 3-guard lineup and potentially make him a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Disposable, I guess would be the word. Some, you know, making him a little bit more of a trade asset rather than an actual piece on the roster. They could pick up a nice wing player to kind of develop behind Otto Porter Jr. and help them moving forward defensively. In the front court, they're fine. So finding some guys that can shoot and can defend at either the guard spot or the wing spot, I think would be definitely very helpful for this team. And it's huge for them as well, because this is a team that I think just needed that little bit of a boost. They got rid of their coach. They're getting a high draft pick. They've picked, I think, number 7 or 8 for years and years and years. Ever since they started this rebuild, that's where they've been kind of picking players. So to be able to get up a little bit, even in a draft like this, is going to be really helpful for them. And I am probably most interested in terms of who they're actually going to select in the Bulls than I am out of any team in the 2020 NBA Draft Lottery. But yeah, that is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. As always, I want to know what you guys have to say down in the comment section below, your own personal thoughts about how everything went down in the lottery this year. But yeah, once again, my name is Tucker. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.